Can I come in?
You're not welcome here. Just accept that and leave.
In.
I brought flowers for Mother's Day, but she wouldn't let me in. You're not welcome here. For months later, I bought a house and threw a party. They stormed over yelling, "How dare you pretend to be poor?" My answer silenced them. "Well, let's go. My name is Romalie. I'm 32 and I got a phone call that changed everything. It was from my Aunt Maris, who I hadn't talked to in a few months but always had a good relationship with. "Romalie, honey, I need to talk to you about something," she said, sounding worried. "I had this really disturbing dream last night about your parents. I know you haven't spoken to them in years, but I think you should try to make peace with your family." Aside, my aunt was the only family member I still talked to, and she knew the whole story about why I'd cut contact with my parents and siblings 10 years ago. "Aunt Maris, I don't know if that's a good idea. Please, Romalie, just think about it. Mother's Day is coming up. Maybe that would be a good time to reach out." I didn't really want to do it, but for my aunt's sake, I was willing to consider it. She'd always been good to me, and if it would give her peace of mind, maybe I could try. But to understand why this was such a big deal, I need to go back 10 years. I was 22 and had just graduated college with a degree in investment management. I'd landed my first job at an investment company and was living in a small rented apartment trying to build my career. Then my grandmother died. She was my dad's mom and she'd always been kind to me. When the will was read, it turned out she'd left the family house to her 3 sons, my dad and his 2 brothers, who sold it and split the money. But the really important part was that she'd left $47,000 to each of her 6 grandchildren. My older brother, Tobin, got $47,000. My older sister, Lida, got $47,000. I got $47,000. And my 3 cousins each got the same amount. It seemed fair and equal. 3 days after the will reading, my mom called me. "Romalie, come over for dinner tonight. The whole family will be here." When I got to my parents' house, Tobin and Lida were already there with their serious faces on. I should have known something was up. "Sit down, Romalie," Mom said. "We need to discuss something important. Your sister is getting married in 4 months. "That's great. Congratulations, Lida." Lida didn't even smile. "Thanks. But we have a problem. The wedding is going to be expensive." Mom jumped in. "We think you should give your inheritance money to your sister for her wedding." I literally couldn't speak for a few seconds. "What?" "Lida needs a beautiful wedding, and $47,000 would make it perfect," Mom continued. "But that's my money, Grandma left it to me." "Don't be selfish," Dad said. "Family helps family." But Tobin got $47,000 too. And so did our cousins. "Why should I be the one to give mine up?" "Because Lida needs it more than you do, Mom." I stood up. "No, I'm not giving up my inheritance. That money is mine, and I'm going to use it for my future." Lida's face turned red. "You're such a greedy brat. If you don't give me that money, you're not invited to my wedding." "Fine by me. I'm not going to be blackmailed." That's when Dad exploded. "Get out of this house. You're selfish and greedy, and we don't want anything to do with you anymore." I was shocked. Known my parents always treated me differently than my siblings, but this was beyond anything I'd expected. "Are you serious?" "Dead serious," Mom said. "Don't come back here until you're ready to do the right thing." I left without another word. I was hurt and angry, but I wasn't going to give in to their demands, and they meant what they said. After that dinner, none of them contacted me. Not once. I waited for weeks, thinking someone would call to apologize or at least try to work things out. But the phone never rang. I tried a couple times to reach out. I sent birthday texts to my parents and siblings, but they never replied. After a few months of being ignored, I stopped trying. Meanwhile, I took that $47,000 and invested it in a medical startup that was just getting off the ground. I researched it carefully and believed in what they were doing. 4 years later, that startup went public and my investment was worth $1.9 million. I didn't stop there. I took some of those profits and invested in an artificial intelligence company that was developing neural networks. I kept working at my investment firm, but I was also building my own portfolio on the side. After another 5 years, my total net worth hit $9.2 million. And through all of this success, my family never knew. They'd cut me off completely. So, they had no idea what I was doing with my life or how well things were going for me. Which brings me back to Aunt Maris's phone call. Mother's Day was 2 weeks away, and I decided maybe it was time to try one more time. I bought a beautiful bouquet of flowers and drove to my childhood home on Rowan Street. I hadn't been there in 10 years. It looked exactly the same. I knocked on the door and Mom answered. When she saw me, her face went through a bunch of different expressions. Surprise, confusion, and finally annoyance. "What are you doing here?" she asked. "Hi, Mom. Happy Mother's Day." I held out the flowers. "I just wanted to see if we could talk and maybe work things out." She didn't take the flowers. Behind her, I could see Dad, Tobin, and Lida with their spouses. Lida had 2 little kids now who I'd never even met. I tried to step forward. "Can I come in?" Mom blocked the doorway. "You're not welcome here. Just accept that and leave." The door slammed in my face. I stood there for a few minutes with the flowers, feeling like an idiot. I'd really thought maybe enough time had passed that we could at least try to be civil. I drove back to my apartment and called Aunt Maris. "How did it go, sweetheart?" She wouldn't even let me in the door. "Oh honey, I'm so sorry. If they're going to treat you like that, then maybe you shouldn't keep trying to make peace with them." After that, I was done trying to reconcile with my family. Aunt Maris was right. If they were going to treat me like that, I shouldn't keep beating my head against the wall. But the rejection actually motivated me to do something I'd been thinking about for a while. With $9.2 million in my investment accounts, I was still living in a rented apartment. It was a nice place, but it wasn't mine. I decided it was time to buy my own house in the Willow Glen neighborhood. I called a realtor and told her exactly what I wanted. "I need a 3-bedroom house with a large backyard and a swimming pool." She showed me several options over the next few weeks. The house I fell in love with was in a great neighborhood, modern design, beautiful kitchen, huge master bedroom, and the backyard was perfect with a pool and plenty of space for entertaining. The asking price was $825,000. But I offered the full amount in cash. The seller accepted immediately and we closed within 3 weeks. Just like that, I was a homeowner. Moving day was exciting. I'd been accumulating furniture and decorations for years, waiting for the right place to put them. The house looked amazing once everything was set up. I called Aunt Maris to share the news. "Romalie, that's wonderful. I'm so proud of you." "Thanks. I was thinking of having a housewarming party. Would you like to come see the place?" "Love to." "Nay. Tell some of the other relatives. I know they'd want to see what you've accomplished." "Please do, but Aunt Maris, don't invite my parents or Tobin and Lida. I don't want them there." The housewarming party was set for 4 months after that terrible Mother's Day visit. I invited my friends from work, college buddies, and told Aunt Maris she could bring whichever relative she wanted. The day of the party arrived, and my house filled up with people. It felt amazing to have my own space and share it with people who actually cared about me. My cousins from my dad's side came, the ones who'd also inherited money from Grandma. They were walking through my house with their jaws on the floor. "Romalie, this place is incredible," my cousin Ward said. "I had no idea you were doing so well." "Thanks. I've been working hard and making some good investments." My cousin Noemi pulled me aside. "Can I ask you something? Your parents always told us you had problems with drinking and gambling. They said that's why the family doesn't talk to you anymore." I almost choked on my drink. "What? They've been saying for years that you're an alcoholic who wastes all her money gambling. Is that not true?" I was shocked. My parents had created this whole fake story about me to explain why we didn't talk. "Noemi, do I look like I have a drinking or gambling problem to you?" She looked around at my beautiful house, at me in my nice clothes, clearly healthy and successful. "No, you definitely don't." "So what really happened?" "It's complicated. Let's just say we had a disagreement about money and leave it at that." I didn't want to get into the whole inheritance drama at my own party. I just shrugged it off and tried to enjoy the evening. The party was going great. Everyone was having fun. The food was delicious. And people kept complimenting me on the house. I was feeling really good about my decision to cut ties with my toxic family and build my own life. Then there was a loud knock at my front door. I opened it and there they were. Mom, Dad, Tobin and Lita, all standing on my doorstep looking furious. What the hell is this? Mom demanded, pushing past me into the house. Why didn't you invite us to your housewarming party? Because you wouldn't even let me into your house on Mother's Day. You slammed the door in my face, remember? Dad was looking around the house with white eyes. How did you afford this place? That's none of your business. Mom started yelling. You've been lying to us all these years. Pretending to be poor when you're obviously rich. The whole party had gone quiet. Everyone was staring at the scene my family was making. The size of my bank account is not your concern, I said firmly. I need you all to leave now. But Mom wasn't done. She spotted my relatives and marched over to them. You need to talk sense into her. She told Ward and Noemi. Romalie ran away from home and cut off all contact with us for no reason. She's being ridiculous. My cousins looked uncomfortable. They didn't know what to say. I'm asking you one more time to leave my house, I said loudly. If you don't go voluntarily, I'm calling the police. After they left, I turned to my guests with a big smile. Sorry about that drama, everyone. Let's get this party back on track. Most people laughed and went back to enjoying themselves. But I could tell some of my relatives had questions. I didn't want to deal with it right then, so I just focused on being a good hostess. Later, after everyone had gone home, I sat in my beautiful living room thinking about what had just happened. My parents had been telling people I was an alcoholic gambler for 10 years. They'd made me out to be some kind of failure to justify cutting me off. But the minute they saw my house and realized I was successful, suddenly they wanted back in my life. It wasn't about love or family. It was about money. It had always been about money. The next morning my phone started ringing non-stop. I didn't answer any of the calls from my family, but they left voicemails and started sending text messages. Mom's message said, "We know you're a successful investor now. You need to share your money with your family." Lita wrote, "I have a mortgage I'm struggling with. You should help me pay it off." Tobin texted, "My car is falling apart and my wife is pregnant. I need money for a new car." I read all their messages and just shook my head. After 10 years of silence, the moment they found out I had money, they came crawling back with their hands out. I blocked all their phone numbers without responding to a single message. A week later, Aunt Maris called. "Romalie, your parents have been calling me non-stop, trying to get me to pressure you into talking to them. What did you tell them?" "I told them they had their chance when you showed up on Mother's Day with flowers. They blew it. I also told them I think they're only interested now because they found out you have money. You're absolutely right. I'm proud of you for not giving in to them, honey. You deserve so much better." After blocking my family's numbers, I thought that would be the end of it. But I was wrong. They weren't going to give up that easily. A few weeks later, I was coming home from work when I saw a familiar car parked outside my house. My parents were sitting in their old sedan waiting for me. I parked in my driveway and they immediately got out and approached me. "Romalie, we need to talk," Dad said. "No, we don't. I blocked your numbers for a reason." "Come on, honey," Mom said, trying to sound sweet. "We're family. We can work this out. We stopped being family 10 years ago when you kicked me out for not giving Lita my inheritance money." "That was a long time ago," Dad said. "We all said things we didn't mean. You meant every word. And the only reason you're here now is because you found out I have money." Mom's fake smile disappeared. "So what if it is? You should be helping your family. That's what family does. Where was this family loyalty when I needed support starting my career? Where was it when I tried to visit on Mother's Day? They didn't have an answer for that. Leave my property or I'm calling the police." They got back in their car, but I knew this wasn't over. The next week they showed up at my office. I was walking to my car after work when they appeared in the parking lot. Romalie, wait. Tobin called out. Turned around and saw all of them, Mom, Dad, Tobin and Lida, walking toward me. Are you kidding me right now? This is harassment. We just want to talk, Lida said. 5 minutes. I gave you 10 years to talk to me. You chose silence. Now it's my turn. We made a mistake, Mom said. We're sorry. Sorry for what exactly? Sorry for kicking me out. Sorry for ignoring me for 10 years. Sorry for spreading lies about me being an alcoholic gambler. Or are you just sorry that you found out I'm rich? They all looked uncomfortable. We heard about your investments, Dad said. You did really well for yourself. No thanks to any of you. Look, Tobin said. I know things got messed up before, but we're family. Families forgive each other. Families also support each other during hard times. They show up for important moments. They don't make up stories about each other. You people are strangers to me. Please, Romalie, Lida said. And I could tell she was trying not to cry. I'm really struggling with my mortgage payments. You could just help me out a little bit. And there it was. The real reason they were there. Let me get this straight. You didn't invite me to your wedding because I wouldn't give you money. You ignored me for 10 years. You told people I was a drunk and a gambler. But now you want me to help pay your mortgage. I was young and stupid. Lida said. I'm different now. You're exactly the same. The only thing that's different is that you need money. I started walking toward my car. If you don't leave me alone, I'm filing a restraining order against all of you. This is stalking and it needs to stop. That finally got through to them. They stopped following me and didn't show up anywhere else. But the damage was done. I'd been forced to relive all that old pain and anger. Took me a few weeks to get back to feeling normal again. The good news was that my life was going really well outside of the family drama. My investment portfolio kept growing and I'd started dating someone new. His name was Ezra and he was a software engineer I'd met through mutual friends. When I told him about my family situation, he was completely supportive. You don't owe them anything, he said. Just because someone is related to you doesn't give them the right to treat you badly and then expect you to bail them out financially. Sometimes I wonder if I'm being too harsh. Romalie, they kicked you out of the family over money. They ignored you for 10 years. They made up lies about you and now they only want you back because they found out you're successful. You're not being harsh. You're protecting yourself from toxic people. Ezra was right. I built a good life without them, and I wasn't going to let them mess it up. Now, I also started throwing regular parties at my house. Aunt Maris would come over with different relatives, and we'd have barbecues by the pool or dinner parties in my dining room. It was nice to have family relationships that were actually healthy and supportive. During one of these gatherings, my cousin Ward brought up the subject I'd been avoiding. Romalie, I have to tell you something. Your parents have been asking me about your parties. What do you mean? They found out from someone that you host these big gatherings. I shook my head. What did you tell him? I told him it wasn't my place to invite people to your house. If they wanted to come, they'd have to ask you themselves. And did they? Well, I think they know you'd say no. I was right about that. After everything they'd put me through, they had to know there was no way I'd welcome them back into my life just so they could enjoy my house and my success. Few months later I got unexpected news. Aunt Maris called me sounding upset. Romalie, I have something to tell you. Your father had a heart attack. My stomach dropped. Is he okay? He's in the hospital, but he's stable. It wasn't too severe. I sat there for a minute processing this information. Despite everything that had happened, he was still my father. Romalie, are you there? Yeah, I'm here. Thanks for telling me. Are you going to visit him? Thought about it. Part of me felt like I should, but another part remembered how they treated me. I don't think so. Aunt Maris. If they wanted me in their lives, they could have called any time in the past 10 years. We made mistakes, but we're family. This could be serious. You made choices. I'm living with the consequences of my choices, and you can live with the consequences of yours. Hung up. Ezra found me sitting in the kitchen afterwards staring at my phone. Everything okay? I told him about the He sat down next to me and took my hand. How are you feeling about it? Conflicted. Part of me thinks I should visit him, but another part of me remembers that they only call when they want something. What do you want to do? I want to protect myself from more hurt. They've made it clear over and over that they don't actually want a relationship with me. They want my money. Then trust your instincts. Dad recovered from his heart attack and life went back to normal. I didn't visit him in the hospital and I didn't feel guilty about it. I'd learned that you can't have a one-sided relationship, even with family. 6 months later, I threw my biggest party yet for my 35th birthday. The house was packed with friends, colleagues, and relatives. Aunt Maris had invited some extended family members I hadn't seen in years, and everyone was having a great time. During the party, my cousin Noemi approached me with a strange look on her face. "Romalie, you're not going to believe this. I just got a text from your brother Tobin." "What kind of text?" "He wanted to know if I could take pictures of your party and send them to him. He said, your parents wanted to see how you were doing." I shook my head. Even now, they were still trying to keep tabs on me from a distance. "What did you tell him?" "I told him if they wanted to know how you were doing, they should call and ask you themselves." Good answer. Later that night, after all the guests had gone home, Ezra and I were cleaning up when he asked me something I'd been thinking about myself. "Do you ever regret cutting them off?" I considered the question seriously. "No, I don't. My life is so much better without their drama and manipulation. I have real relationships now with people who actually care about me. Even with everything that's happened, they're still your family. Being related to someone doesn't automatically make them family. Family is about love, support, and respect. These people in my life." Now I gestured around the house. "They're my real family." And that was the truth. Aunt Maris, my cousins, my friends, Ezra. These were the people who celebrated my successes without jealousy, who supported me during difficult times, and who loved me for who I was rather than what I could give them. My biological family had made their choice 10 years ago when they decided money was more important than relationships. I made my choice too. And I was living a happy, successful, peaceful life because of it. 3 years had passed since that disastrous housewarming party confrontation. And my parents had never stopped trying to find ways back into my life. But they'd never once apologized or acknowledged what they'd done wrong. They'd never asked about my life or shown genuine interest in who I'd become. It was always about what they could get from me. I was done feeling guilty about cutting them off. They'd made their choice 10 years ago and I'd made mine. Now I had to live with the consequences of that decision, which honestly had turned out pretty great for me. My investment portfolio had grown to over $14.2 million and I'd gotten another promotion at work. Ezra and I had moved in together and we were talking about getting engaged. My house had become the center of a wonderful social life. I hosted monthly dinner parties, holiday gatherings, and summer barbecues by the pool. Aunt Maris was always there along with my cousins and other relatives who'd become like real family to me. During one of these parties, Ward pulled me aside. "Romalie, I need to tell you something. Your parents have been asking me about your new phone number." "What do you mean?" "They've been calling around, trying to find you." I laughed. "Did you give it to them?" "Well, I told them I wouldn't. I hope they got the message." "Think they did." "I haven't heard from them in a few weeks." "How are they doing financially? Are they struggling?" "I don't think so. Your dad still has his job and they own their house. They're not desperate or anything. They're just greedy." That confirmed what I'd suspected. This wasn't about them needing help. It was about them wanting a piece of my success after years of treating me like garbage. I was done feeling guilty about cutting them off. They'd made their choice 10 years ago and I'd made mine. Now I had to live with the consequences of that decision, which honestly had turned out pretty great for me. 2 years passed after my parents stopped harassing me, and they were honestly the best 2 years of my adult life. My investment portfolio had grown to over $14.2 million and I'd gotten another promotion at work. Ezra and I had moved in together and we were talking about getting engaged. My house had become the center of a wonderful social life. I hosted monthly dinner parties, holiday gatherings, and summer barbecues by the pool. Aunt Maris was always there along with my cousins and other relatives who'd become like real family to me. During one of these parties, Ward pulled me aside. "Romalie, I need to tell you something. Your parents have been asking me about your parties." "What do you mean?" "They found out from someone that you host these big gatherings." I shook my head. "What did you tell him?" "I told him it wasn't my place to invite people to your house. If they wanted to come, they'd have to ask you themselves." "And did they?" "Well, I think they know you'd say no." I was right about that. After everything they'd put me through, they had to know there was no way I'd welcome them back into my life just so they could enjoy my house and my success. I was right about that. After everything they'd put me through, they had to know there was no way I'd welcome them back into my life just so they could enjoy my house and my success. A few months later, Aunt Maris called with more updates about my parents. "They've been asking everyone in the family for your new phone number," she said. "I told them I wouldn't give it to them. But I hope they got the message." "Think they did." "I haven't heard from them in a few weeks." "How are they doing financially? Are they struggling?" "I don't think so. Your dad still has his job and they own their house. They're not desperate or anything. They're just greedy." That confirmed what I'd suspected. This wasn't about them needing help. It was about them wanting a piece of my success after years of treating me like garbage. I was done feeling guilty about cutting them off. They'd made their choice 10 years ago and I'd made mine. Now I had to live with the consequences of that decision, which honestly had turned out pretty great for me. My house was filled with laughter, love, and genuine relationships. My career was thriving. My romantic life was happy and I had peace of mind.